this is autofocused. We're trying. Hi guys, and welcome back to the Love Shack. So basically a little overview. Mel and I live honestly an hour away from each other, and I have really big plans for the Love Shack, so I've decided to take the Love Shack over. There's no beef. Mel's still one of my best friends, even though she secretly hates me. We understand. But I have a lot of new alleyways that I'm taking the Love Shack. Planning to turn it into a creative agency. And there's lots of other very exciting things that are coming in the future. However, I just have to keep it a bit of a secret until things get confirmed. So where I'm going with the Love Shack is pretty much talking about topics that are important to me. I'm going to be by myself. I'll probably get some really cool guests on here and there as well. Bit of a shit talk, dating and feminism are obviously my main topics, so we'll be talking about them. And yeah, welcome. I'm excited to go on this journey with you myself. But anyway, so today I want to talk about some things that I've had conversations with a couple of people over the course of the past couple of weeks. It's in regards to feminism, so if you're not interested, then I suggest you remove yourself. And also, I do swear a lot, so that's my disclaimer for my bad swearing habit. So, where do I even begin? Basically, I guess I want to start with talking about the fact that I've been researching into feminism and women's rights probably for, my god, like nearly 3 years now, since I was 18. Wait, how am I? 21, 18, 9? Yeah, 3 years. What really started me on this journey was I was in a pretty hectic narcissistic relationship. Both parts as well, like I was pretty toxic as well in the relationship. I was really insecure. I had absolutely no self-value. And I also knew that the way he was treating me wasn't exactly correct. There was a lot of lying and manipulation and gaslighting involved. So that kind of started me on my journey with learning about dating and definitely learning about the importance of self-worth when you're dating, which kind of led me into feminism as well. So yeah, I started researching pretty heavily into feminism towards the end of when I was 18 until I was 19. I did my project, I think it was called Me Before You, and I did another one as well on domestic violence. And yeah, so that's also, please take a shot every single time I say it's a joke. But yeah, so where do I even begin with this topic? So, okay, I'm going to introduce the topic. The topic is, we're going to be talking about deconstructing this idea of men are trash, and also looking into the harmfulness of the statement of not all men. So, I've come across the statement not all men for quite a while. Every single time I seem to talk about something like politics, women's rights, feminism on my Instagram, there are always a couple of men that come through with the not all men react or act this way. The thing that I have a problem with in terms of the idea of not all men is the fact that it completely minimizes the female's experience. Not all men doesn't take away my sexual trauma. Not all men doesn't make me feel safe walking home at night. Not all men doesn't stop me from holding my keys in between my fingers when I'm walking to my car from the grocery center. Things like that. Not all men basically just tells the woman that because not all men do it, it means that the men that do it are exempt from the way that they behave. Which I think is maybe sometimes not what men try and get across. I do believe that there are amazing men out there. I have incredible men in my life, and I'm sure many of you do as well. However, I do find that the not all men statement also contributes to the greater fact of that people are getting offended when women call men as a generalization out for their shitty behavior. So this kind of links in with the idea of men are trash. I'm guilty of using that statement. Majority of my friendship group, which are women, use this statement, and majority of my male friends use this statement as well. What men are trash is saying, I feel like people get so attacked by this idea of men are trash. To be honest, if you're getting offended by a statement like this, it means that you have internalized misogyny. You should know that men as a whole, because of this behavior and the patriarchy and the behavior that falls underneath the patriarchy and misogyny, continues to thrive in our society. You should not be getting offended by the fact that we make a generalization that men are trash. Something that I've also found is that men as a whole do not get to choose whether the patriarchy exists or not. The patriarchy was created by men to oppress and control women. So you are not falling to the victim of the patriarchy by simply being a man. I think I've said this on my Instagram a few times, but men don't have the right to comment on women's experiences. They do have the responsibility to listen and hold themselves and their friends accountable for the way that they disrespect women. So, in saying that, I feel like I had a very interesting conversation with one of my friends on Instagram last night about how dangerous it is to make a generalization of men are trash. To be honest, I actually have to disagree with this one, because at the end of the day, too many men are continuing to be violent towards or perpetuate rape culture and misogynistic behavior. This misogynistic behavior and rape culture would not exist if the good men were holding all of the men that behave in an abusive and unsafe way towards women accountable. So, men are trash is not you are trash as a man, the male species is trash. It's the idea that the perpetuators of the patriarchy and rape culture are trash. They are continuing this behavior. They are making this societal oppression of women thrive by A, either being complacent and not holding their friends accountable, or B, being direct perpetuators of this. Rape culture can come in so many different shapes, forms, and sizes, the same as sexism and casual sexism. Something like assuming that you're a stay-at-home mom, or get back to the kitchen. I heard that, there's a fly. I've heard that so many times growing up, women belong in the kitchen. Like, what the fuck? I also experienced so many things at work, not to be sexist, but women are just better at cleaning. Like, these are these kind of, I guess, as such microaggressions of sexism that women experience every single day that no man will ever be able to understand, because they are simply a man. And the sooner that men come to accept that and dismantle their ego in regards to the fact that they are inevitably on a point of privilege above women, the sooner we will work together to deconstruct the suppression and violence towards women. And I think this is something that is really interesting to me, because I watch the way that men behave as soon as I either hold them or their friends accountable. And it really says quite a lot about their morals and beliefs, and also the way that they were raised in regards to the way that they respect women. I've had a couple of run-ins with men where the man has attacked me on Instagram and I've rebutted, and then he sent all of his friends on to me. So, to be honest, if you're gay or bisexual or straight and you date men, always judge a man by the way his friends treat women. This is the biggest thing that I've learned with not only perpetuators of rape culture, but also just casual sexism within dating. And yeah, I don't know, I just find it really interesting that without a doubt, every single time I've had suspicions about partners' friends, they have turned out to have the same beliefs as them. And I mean, I like to think that I surround myself with incredibly switched-on people, incredibly hardworking people that also mind their own business and do what they need to do. Yeah, I just think it's very interesting, particularly in male friendship groups. Male friendship groups, especially when you're young and you're in high school, are the height of perpetuating not only rape culture but slut shaming and victim blaming as well. Victim blaming is basically where the victim is blamed for his or her sexual assault. This culture has kind of been created to deflect accountability. As we know, the legal system in our country does not look after our victims the way it should, especially in terms of domestic violence and rape. And I think that it is definitely time for change. And I think that men have the sole responsibility of becoming proper allies to women to deconstruct the patriarchy and all of the violent cultures and societal standards that come with this. In saying that, I guess I've spiraled a little bit from the generalization of men are trash. This all does come down to the fact that we refer to more of the way that we fall into the oppression of the patriarchy and the way that we are constantly objectified as well. Because I can stand in my friendship group, I think I have probably about 10 to 14 closest girlfriends, and every single one of them have been sexually assaulted in some way or sexually harassed in some way, whether that be in the workplace, raped, down the street, anything like that, especially at parties. The rape culture within small towns and parties is very prevalent. And I ask my guy friends that, and they can't say they have the same experience. So the majority that fall oppression to obviously the patriarchy is women. Men do as well, but I think I'll talk about that in another episode because I do want to talk about this generalization. But yeah, these are my opinions on it. I know I had some questions about them, so I'm going to run and grab them. Okay. First, we have... So, this first one says, I have a boyfriend that constantly gets angry at me for saying men are trash. Please help. Well, show him this podcast, I guess. And also, I don't know, it's so hard because I feel like sometimes I want to say maybe you should educate him a little bit. But at the same time, I have men that educate themselves in my life. And it isn't a woman's responsibility to educate men on why the not all men and men are trash statement exists, especially not all men. Like, I feel like I'm constantly educating people, especially men, on why not all men is a harmful statement. But yeah, to be honest, show him this podcast. Also, explain to him that men are trash is a generalization, especially if you've had, which you probably have if you're a woman, have had harmful experiences in relation to men. I don't think that men get the choice to get angry at the fact that we generalize them, because the patriarchy is something that controls and affects our lives every single day. And if your boyfriend can't see that, then he is obviously very, very sheltered and unfortunately living out his male privilege fantasy. So that's my advice. You don't have to take it. Anyway. Do you believe that high schools stop rape culture? Oh, this one's really... I feel like I could do a whole episode on this one, and I will talk about rape culture in schools a lot more in the future because it's something that I feel so passionately about. The answer for me is absolutely not. I don't think schools do anywhere near enough to deconstruct rape culture and slut shaming. If not, I think they are the biggest perpetuators of rape culture. Young boys, if you did see the article about the high school Shaw in Sydney, they literally had on their muck-up day statutory rape as a list for their muck-up day list. And like, the fact that boys are growing up in this culture where this is completely normalized sets them up for the rest of their lives and the way that they treat women for the rest of their lives. So no, I absolutely do not think schools do enough. And I also think that, anyway, you know what? I can't go on about it because that's going to be a whole nother episode because I'm really passionate about that. So, okay. As a man, I think men that are offended by men are trash aren't looking at the bigger picture. Yes, I actually agree with you as well, because I think that when men get offended by men are trash, they're looking internally and they're offended themselves. Whereas I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and I was like, he said to me, would you get offended if somebody said, this was in relation to race, where he was like, well, would you get offended if someone said white are trash? And I said no, because white people are the perpetuators of racism and violence against people of color. So why would I be offended if the majority of white people are the perpetuators of this culture? Because, I understand my privilege, but I also understand the fact that my privilege is what continues racism and keeps people ignorant. So I would never be offended by the fact that someone said white are trash, because whites have no culture and we're also the most racist people on the planet. This is talking in a generalized term, because I know that I try and deconstruct my internalized racism and privilege every single day. It's the same with my internalized misogyny and sexism, because that's the way that the patriarchy has raised young women. To keep them silent and to keep them small and minimize their experiences. So yeah, I do believe that people that get offended by men are trash do not look at the bigger picture. And they shouldn't take a generalized term so personally. Okay. My boyfriend's friendship group treat women like shit. Oof. Does this mean my BF will too? Look, I'm really gonna hit you guys with the hard ass truths and say absolutely. You are what you hang around, and I truly believe, look, it's dependent. I think that people can have friends from many different walks of life, and if they have a one singular friendship group that treats women like shit, then they have a responsibility to hold them accountable. But like, if they also have friends that are beautiful and like treat women with respect, then they potentially could be exposed to this behavior as well. However, if their only and closest friends that they respect a lot treat women like shit, it is very likely that they have the same morals and ideals, because you wouldn't hang around people that you blatantly disagree with. That's just my opinion, but anyway, let's do it. How is not all men harmful? I feel like I already answered this in the podcast, but just to reiterate it, not all men is harmful because it minimizes the experiences of women, and it also takes away from the fact that if women are trying to talk about their experience, it doesn't make it any better that not all men don't attack and don't sexually assault and don't minimize women. It's about her experience and it's about the way that it made her feel. It's not about the fact that not all men do it. I feel like men shouldn't take women's lived experiences in relation to men personally, because it's not their fucking right to. It's like if you were talking about a car crash and then someone got offended about it because they were like, well, my car, not all cars crash. It's like the exact same thing where like a woman can be talking about her sexual assault and then someone would come in and be like, well, not all men rape women. I'm like, that's great, but she's still living with trauma for the rest of her life because of this experience, and not all men doesn't make her feel any safer. So yeah, there's a couple of other questions here, but I don't want this to go for too long. I feel like I pretty much answered majority of these. There was only like 6 or 7 questions anyway. Love the fans. And yeah, okay, well, I'm gonna finish up now. But thank you so much for listening to me. If you did listen till the end, congratulations, gold star for you. And please let me know what topics you want me to talk about. I have some more very exciting dating related things coming, and yeah, have a great day.